Most people don't realize this, but your brain has been lying to you about the people closest to you. Not strangers, not enemies, the ones you trust most. You've been reading them wrong, not because you're not paying attention, but because you've been paying attention to entirely the wrong things. The words, the gestures, the explanations, none of that tells you who someone actually is. There are only two things that do. And once I show you what they are, you will never be able to unsee them. Psychologists call this the gap between stated values and revealed values. And once you understand it, you'll see why people who seemed trustworthy turned out not to be, and why you didn't see it coming even though the evidence was always there. Here's the uncomfortable truth about character. Character is not what someone tells you they believe. Character is not how they act when they know you're watching. Character is not who they are on their best day, or even on their worst. Character is the pattern that shows up when nothing is on the line. When no one is looking. When the choice doesn't matter. And your brain, which is wired for social connection, which needs to believe the people it depends on are trustworthy, actively filters that pattern out. It sees what it wants to see. It builds the most charitable version of the person and then defends that version against anything that contradicts it. So you end up not seeing who someone is. You end up seeing who you need them to be. That is not a personality flaw. That is neuroscience, but it has a cost. And you've probably already paid it. But here's where it gets even worse. The two things I'm about to show you, most people have noticed them before. In the back of their mind. In a feeling they couldn't name. In a moment they talked themselves out of. You already knew. You just didn't know what you knew. Here's the first one. How someone treats people who can do nothing for them. Not you. Not their boss. Not the person they're trying to impress. The waiter. The cleaner. The person at the counter. The colleague who has no influence over their career. The family member who can't give them anything back. Psychology calls this the waiter rule, and research across multiple studies consistently shows that how people treat low-status individuals is one of the most accurate predictors of their true character available to us. Because with those people, there is no performance, no incentive, no audience that matters. What you see in those moments is not who they are when they're trying. It is who they are when they're not. Here's the painful part. If someone is charming to you but dismissive to everyone around you, that charm is not who they are. That charm is what you're getting because right now, you're useful. The day you stop being useful, you will become the waiter. And how they've been treating the waiter is exactly how they will treat you. Now here's the second one. And this one is harder. Because it requires you to watch over time. Not once. What someone does when they say they will do something, and no one is checking. Not the big promises. Not the dramatic commitments. The small ones. Do they show up when they said they would? Do they follow through on the thing no one will remember if they don't? Do they do the right thing when doing the wrong thing would cost them absolutely nothing? Psychologist Robert Cialdini spent decades studying the science of commitment and consistency, and what he found is this. Small, unwitnessed actions are the most reliable window into a person's actual values that exists. Because those moments have no reward, no social currency, no benefit, they are pure character, nothing else. And here's what makes this devastating. The people who have let you down in big ways almost certainly told you who they were in 100 small ways first. A cancelled plan that became a pattern. A borrowed thing never returned. A small commitment treated like it didn't matter because you didn't make it matter. You saw it, your gut registered it, and you explained it away. But here's the part nobody wants to admit. This doesn't just apply to the people around you. The two questions you just heard. How do you treat people who can do nothing for you? What do you do when no one is checking? Those are questions about your character too. And your first instinct was probably to think about someone else. This happens because of something called fundamental attribution error. Your brain is wired to judge other people's behavior as a reflection of their character, while judging your own behavior as a response to your circumstances. They were rude to the waiter because they're a selfish person. You were rude to the waiter because you were stressed, because it had been a long day, because you're not usually like that. Your mind thinks, I know my own intentions, so I get the benefit of the doubt. The reality is, other people only have your behavior to go on. Exactly the same way you only have theirs. Which means the standard you're applying to everyone around you, they are applying it to you. Right now, every small commitment you keep or don't keep, every person in a service role you acknowledge or ignore, every moment when no one is watching and you choose anyway, that is the data they are collecting about who you are. The same data you're collecting about them. There is no version of this framework that only points outward. Character is not a one-way mirror. If that hit you, good. It means you're honest enough to apply what you learn to yourself and not just to everyone else. That, right there, is actually a third indicator of character. The willingness to be included in the standard you set for others. If you want to use this, here's how. Stop listening to what people say about themselves. Start watching two things only. 1. The next time you're with someone in public, watch how they treat people who serve them. Not once, consistently. One data point is a bad day. A pattern is character. 2. Think back over the last 6 months and ask yourself, has this person done what they said they would do when no one was checking? Not the big things, the small ones, because small things done consistently are not small. They are the whole picture. Here's the mental shift that actually works. Stop evaluating people by who they tell you they are. Start evaluating them by the gap between what they commit to and what they actually do, especially when no one is watching. That gap is the truth. Everything else is presentation, and if you want to be the kind of person whose character holds up under this framework, start with the smallest commitments. The ones no one notices. The ones that don't matter to anyone but you. Because who you are when nothing is on the line is who you actually are. Not who you want to be. Not who you're working toward. Who you are. Most people will watch this and immediately think of someone in their life. The important thing is what you do with the other half, the part that's about you.